You know where you are!
This is Appetite for Distortion.
Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode number 493. My name is Brando. Welcome to the podcast from Black Label Society. Dario Lorina, how are you, sir?
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me, Brando.
Where are you currently? It looks like I don't know, you're well, I guess it fits the name of your band, Dark Chapel. You're somewhere dark. You look like you're hanging out with Phantom of the Opera or something where you are.
Exactly. Yeah, at studio here in Vegas.
Oh, okay. Right on. You're in Vegas right now.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about, if we talk about Vegas, if it comes up, you'll see. I have a mission. I have a North Star that I follow, but sometimes we take little detours. So we'll take some detours that all lead us to the new album, the debut album from your band, Dark Chapel, which is awesome. So we're going to kind of go on the path that, well, you're also in Zakk Wylde's Black Label Society, Dark Chapel. But as we briefly discussed before off air, you could tell my New York accent where I'm from. I know you're in Vegas now, but where are you in Massachusetts? Where you hail from?
Yeah, so I'm from Boston, outside of Boston, a town called Carver. That's where I grew up as a kid, and but now I'm out here in Vegas. But when I say Vegas, I used to have to go into a little explanation because it doesn't really quite fit all the way. But yeah, no, I've been in Vegas for a while.
Right on. So I got my radio start. I mean, not counting college, but professional in Cape Cod. I know it's like an hour and a half out of Boston, right?
Yeah,
So, but I would visit friends from Boston, Stoughton, Alston, Rock City, all of that.
crazy. That's where all my family's from. Yeah,
It's, I really was tempted about moving there because at the time, I mean, RIP WAAF, they had a great, right, rock station.
yeah.
But man, once the Red Sox won like that second World Series, I'm like, I can't live here. I'm already living down 2004. When they
Yeah.
won 2008, that's when I was in Cape Cod. Around I couldn't do it. So, are you a sports guy? How deep do you go?
I
In
mean,
your
by
early
default, definitely Patriots and Red Sox, but I don't follow sports too much. But I do. I love hockey, so Bruins. But the sports I follow mostly would be like UFC or boxing, and hockey. But I haven't been with hockey the past season.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm currently wearing my Islanders sweatshirt. Yeah,
Nice.
Bruins are okay. There's more of a rivalry between you guys and the Rangers, who I hate. So, uh, it's I always just like finding out where people come from and then the path where they are now. So, how did we get from a little kid from Boston, and we'll get to when you're 16 with Jani Lane, but that's 16 years. I told you off the air. I have my near 2-year-old back here. When did the path start for you? Should I be training him to be a savant by 16? How did it happen?
Yeah, whenever he gets a guitar in his hands or drums or whatever he wants to do. But no, for me, I just started. My family was musical. I was around music, and I started playing guitar when I was 6. I was given one as a gift, and it became my life. It consumed me. But yeah, I mean, I moved from Boston to Vegas just as a teenager because my family made a move. So
Okay.
Vegas became home. But I was playing guitar since I was 6, and then in like when I got into middle school in those years, that's like it's all I did, like all summer long, every day after school, after homework, it was all I did. And then yeah, I started touring when I was 16 with Janie. But um, I guess there's a lot in between there story wise, but that's kind of the basic process of it.
Cool, cool. No, I know we only got so much time. I'm not going to do all of hey, this is your life, Dario, but just to kind of pinpoint, because that's now that I'm a dad, and he has long hair. It's like long Kurt Cobain hair. And I'm just like, you're born to be a rocker, dude.
Yep.
So just,
Well, you know it.
I love finding out, well, again, where people are now who are successful, where how they came, I'm not gonna, whatever he wants to do is fine, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
subliminally, try to make that happen. The rock star. I'll be honest with you. So who were you looking up to, um, as a guitarist or as a performer that led you to that first career gig with Jani Lane? Who were your favorites that you were kind of, hey, I want to be that when I grow older?
Yeah, I mean, like when I was first playing guitar and coming up playing, I was a kid in the 90s. So like I was discovering tapes in my dad's glove box that he had. So like hearing Van Halen for the first time, that was like, magic coming through the speakers. So if I was going to play guitar, how could I make it sound like that? So he was like my main guy. And then of course I was discovering like, I loved Johnny Winter and John Petrucci because Dream Theater was like my first entry into like prog metal. So John Petrucci was a big one. Of course, Zakk. I mean, discovering all that, he was definitely one of my guys. And like George Lynch and John Sykes, of course, Randy and Paul Gilbert. Just that whole world of playing. Just anything like 70s, 80s guitar playing. Anything that was guitar driven. So that's what I was inspired by. And as far as being a guitar player, and when I saw Jani was looking for a guitar player, I was of course familiar with a lot of that, being into all that at that time, and yeah, so that's kind of what led me towards that.
Then how does that happen? Because I'm sure you've told this story many times, but 16 is young, no matter how good you are. There's actually a pretty famous story out there that Mark Cantor likes to tell from Cantor's Deli. He has Guns N' Roses ties, and you obviously with this podcast, that's the whole point of it. That he says that Paul Stanley actually looked into getting Slash, but he was 17, and it's like, okay, maybe we can't take him out on the road. What made you the right? I mean, for guy, but you were a kid. 16 is real young. I'm gonna blink, and this kid's gonna be my son's gonna be 16. So and in your parents, I'm obviously we're okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just saw it and jumped off the high dive and hopefully was going to learn how to swim. You know what I mean? But I mean, that's all. When I was in school at that time, that's all I thought about was playing guitar. So if another guy was thinking they were going to play football or be a doctor or a lawyer, whatever they wanted to do, I just thought I was going to play guitar. So when I saw that opportunity, I jumped at it. And I think I was in 11th grade or so. And I was in a program here in Vegas called Community College High School, which like half the day was high school classes and the other half the day was entry level college classes.
Mm.
And at the end of that year is when I started playing with Jani. So my parents were completely supportive. My mom was a little like, "What's going on here? What is this at right now?" But it ended up working out, and I finished school and did all that and online. And when I would come home, I would go in and do my testing and all that. But yeah, I just dove in pretty much.
That's so cool, especially to have the presence of mind. I mean, you were clearly smart, and you were able to have like in the kind of particular course that you had already taken college courses at such a young age. But to finish your education, you could have been like, "Hey, I'm 16. I'm already a rock star." What was the mindset then? Because
That
was
was probably a lot. Probably a lot of my parents helping with that. Like, hey, do this, but also do this. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Okay.
And but yeah, I mean, I just like I was saying, it's just I just jumped in and was going to learn to swim. So I wasn't really sure any of those decisions. They were just like I'm learning as I'm going here.
And with Janie, rest in peace. And I had his Bobby Brown on a few years ago, and we spoke about because often in this podcast talk about mental health, we talk about addiction, but at that time, like how was he at that particular time? I guess when you were in the band, because there's a lot of variables. Again, 16 years old, school, young, all these things. But then to go out with a rock star, but then to go out with a rock star who had some issues. Was there, how was he at that particular, during your tenure with him?
Yeah, I mean, I was with him for a couple of years, and he was an amazing person, and I had seen both sides of when he was not battling and then when he was battling. So I saw both sides of it, but overall it was really incredible. And the guys in the band were amazing and kind of took me under their wing. And yeah, I mean, it was an incredible experience. I was just, wide eyed and open eared and was just kind of along for the ride. And being psyched to be out there playing guitar and playing with Jani and songs I was familiar with. But he was an incredible person, and yeah, we had a lot of fun together.
That's special. Have you, when you reflect, because again, 16, very informative. Now that you know that you're older, do you ever look back and like, wow, I'm glad I went through that because if that didn't happen or I didn't learn that from Janie in my time, do you find yourself kind of like thinking back and remembering things a little bit,
Yeah, like
or like the revisionist history does it change how you look back at it?
yeah, like if I think back on it, I mean, years go by like that, and when you're on the road, it's like, wow, years just pass by, but you absorb a lot of things without realizing it. So it might take you years and years to just like something clicks and go, oh wow, yeah, that stemmed from there or whatever. But I was young at that time, so you kind of, as you get older, you start to look back and just realize a little bit. But yeah, it was incredible.
How old were you when the Zakk Wylde opportunity presented itself?
Um, I was around 23, 24, about then. So I was playing with Janie at 16, and then I was playing with Lizzie Borden at 19, for about 4 years. So it was probably around 23, 24 years old.
I mean, this is really great. I know we're getting to the now, but just to have all this experience with, really top tier talent at such a young age, it's not something that many experience, like at all. So with the support of your parents and just the road that you were able to be on, I think it's pretty special to, and it's all a big setup to again to Dark Chapel to have this debut album of your band. So, with Zakk, somebody who I would love to have on this podcast at some point, I can't imagine the amount of things that you've learned from him, good and bad. But let's focus on on the good. Like, he seems like somebody that like would like, kind of rib you about your accent. Is he as funny as he seems?
Oh,
Uh,
I mean, he's awesome, but yeah, he is exactly what you see. You know what I mean? And but he's also from Jersey, so he has a bit of an accent, so
that is true.
it's all right. But yeah, no, he's incredible, and we've had a blast. And yeah, I mean, it's been 11 years, and that goes by almost in a blink of an eye. So yeah.
Do you have any favorite tunes that you specifically look forward to playing with him every night, or is it just the experience overall of the show, or there are certain things that you look forward? Oh, I can't I can't wait to play this track. I can't wait to play this.
It is the overall show, and every tour or every couple tours is something different happening. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the like Funeral Bell, or of course like Suicide Messiah or Stillborn. I mean, the whole thing is awesome, playing the whole set. But we've done like Unblackened, uh, which was like stripped down Black Label versions, and I was playing a lot of just like keyboard stuff. And Zakk and I were kind of going back and forth on keyboard, and then I'd play and he'd play keyboard or whatever. Um, or like during his Book of Shadows, I played pretty much keyboard the entire tour. So some of that's a lot of fun, but the full Black Label set, just yeah, the whole thing is awesome.
Whether it's Zakk or Lizzie or Jeannie, is it always about the music and just bonding, or do you ever kind of become like a little bit of a fan like me and you start asking them about their career? Hey, what was this tour like? How about that experience? Does that ever happen, or is it
I'd say it's about the music and bonding, but I mean, yeah, a lot of that stuff might come up in just casual conversation while you're out there. But yeah, it's just really about hanging and having a good time playing the music.
okay? I didn't know if you were gonna be like, hey, Zakk, what's the tell me this silly Ozzy story. But I'm sure he gets that all the time. So I'm just curious if that's a line that you're like, he gets asked enough about Ozzy. I'm not gonna bother him about it.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's just we're just out there having a good time.
Right on. And speaking of a good time, and again, the mood is set. If you're watching this on YouTube, the darkness that is your Las Vegas studio, Dark Chapel. How long have you been working on this? Like this project? Finally, you're not. I don't want to say it like flippantly, like you're someone else's guitarist. You were part of bands. You are part of bands, but to have you be the guy. How long have you been wanting to do this?
I mean, Doc Chapel's been in the creation process for just several years between just writing and demoing and recording and getting it all together. But before this, I did 2 instrumental albums. One when I was playing with Lizzie, so it was instrumental guitar, album, and it's a full album of that. I did that in 2013. That was with Mike Varney, Shrapnel Records, and I did another one with him in 2017 when I was in Black Label. So to me, this is just kind of like a continuation of that as far as my direction of what I'm writing and working on. And now it's just, instead of guitar solos in the verses or whatever, now it's like I'm singing and there's lyrics in those places. So for me, it just kind of feels a continuation of that. And I was singing at the time when I did those instrumental albums, but I was always focused on guitar playing, and singing was something I started doing later on. So with Dark Chapel, it felt like, okay, now I got this to a point where I feel like, cool, I'm ready to kind of do this with singing. So yeah, but Dark Chapel was probably maybe 2021, 22 is when I was like writing and getting it all together and demoing it out and feeling what it was going to feel like. And then, yeah, 2024 is about when it was done. And that's when we launched it out.
Awesome. Yeah, they hear the process of, it was all about guitar playing. And you see that happen with a lot of guitar players where they're just focused on that's their role for a while. And then okay, I got this singing thing. Let's see what I can do. And, people can hear some singles now. A Hollow Smile is out now. I can say it. I've been in radio for 20 plus years. And Spirit in the Glass, the album, is out February 28th. What are you most looking forward to? Is it it's got to be all of it, but is it the live shows? Is it a certain message for fans to get? Is it just to finally break free and just be like, hey, this is me. This isn't me and Zakk. This isn't me and so. I know it's Dark Chapel, the band, but like, I guess what are the things that you stand out for you as this is just a few days away from coming out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I look at it like, any of that. I just look at it like it's another release that I have coming out, and it's like I was saying, a continuation from the instrumental, and now I'm singing, and but I'm psyched for everybody really to hear the whole album, because I feel like there's a lot on there. There's a lot of guitar driven heavy music, we could call it, on there, but there's also like Dead Weight, which is one of my favorites on the album, which is just like intimate piano and vocal, and Dark Waters is like a singer-songwriter style acoustic and vocal, and then there's some songs on there that have their own vibe, like Bullet in Our Chamber is like a totally different vibe than like what's out, Hollow Smile, now, and All That Remains is really heavy and bluesy. So I'm psyched for everybody to hear the album like in full, start to finish, because I definitely put some effort in like arranging the songs on the album. Like if you were to listen to it in full, like you'd listen to an album start to finish. So that's definitely what I'm psyched about. And all to come. I mean, Dark Chapel's just getting started. So all to come. We have our album release show March 1st in Vegas at Vamped. We're looking forward to that. And the album will be out the day before, February 28th. So psyched about all of it.
Just getting started, like you said. I love that. Man, congratulations. And obviously, before you go, I got to do my 6 degrees of GNR bacon, as I like to call it, on Appetite for Distortion. We mentioned a lot about a guitarist. Are you like an Izzy guy? Are you more of a Slash guy? What do you think?
They're both awesome. But I would definitely, I would definitely go towards Slash because of his, like beautiful melodic bluesy solo writing that he did, and yeah, so I would go that way. But they both are, they're both amazing.
Have you ever had a chance to? Because I know Zakk's friendly with Slash. Um, it's funny because they were almost in Guns N' Roses at the same time. Have you ever had a chance to meet any of the guys or go to any concerts, whether it's being on the same festival lineup or just on an off day, anything like that?
I don't think I've ever really actually met them, but we did open for Guns N' Roses in Arizona several years ago, and we've also been on a few of the same festivals. But yeah, no, never direct meet.
Okay, and we meeting BLS, right? Opening.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, those are the shows. I'm like, we're never around here, because that's I want to. That's an act I want to see. You know, Zakk Wylde and Black Label Society open up for GNR. So who knows? Maybe next time they tour the states, you guys can do it. What are the touring plans for you? Oh yeah, because you mentioned some dates in Vegas. I mean, you've just got to be so busy. So I hope your schedule is, do you keep it electronic or do you keep an old school schedule? Like I have a calendar up there, all handwritten. I need to
Yeah,
write it out in hand, otherwise I forget.
I'm with you. I like to write it also. But yeah, we're working on a ton for Dark Chapel. We did our first two shows opening for Zach Sabbath a few weeks ago, which was our first two shows as a band as Dark Chapel, and now we have the album release March 1st in Vegas at Vamped, and Black Label has a couple things coming up this year, Milwaukee Metal Fest in May, and then yeah, working on a bunch with Dark Chapel. So
Busy man, busy man. Well, Dario, thank you so much for your time today.
thank you, man. Appreciate you having me.
You got it. So that does it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. When will you see the next one? In the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, I don't know if soon is the word, but you'll see it.
Thanks to the lame ass security, I'm going home.